regular meeting of the Summers County Board of Education to order. Time is now 5 o'clock. Let the roll call reflect that there are 4 board members present with Mr. Angel unable to attend. I'd like to ask Ms. Harvey if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of agenda or adjustments. I'd like to make a motion that we pull Radford and Radford out of the bills for this meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion by myself, second by Mr. Brogan, to pull Radford and Radford from the bills. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote. Motion carries. Now, moving on to approve the agenda.
No, I also need to,
Oh, okay.
make a motion under, employment service extra duty that we vote on that separate.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Farley, second by Mr. Brogan to pull, when was that, service personnel
Service extra.
extra duty?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote. Motion carries. Now, is there any other adjustments?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned adjustments.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Harvey and second by Mr. Brogan to approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote. The motion carries. Now moving on to presentations. Miss Amy Smith.
Okay, I am Amy Smith. I am an employee of Summers County, but I'm also the daughter of a dyslexic child. And she reminded me on October 1st that many times we've spoken to the board. She usually does. I'm not usually the speaker. Regarding the fact that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. Let me reset everybody's brain here. All right. So I don't have a whole lot to say. Emily has spoken to many people over the years with a video that I'm going to show here. One thing that I want to make sure everybody understands is what dyslexia is. And then I want to tell you that I was at a training last week in Charleston that had to do with tools, just like these tools that I'm going to talk about. And the tools, this county is well ahead of where a lot of other counties are. Sammy Jones, who does does Europe at the high school. She said, I went and they were talking and, they asked what kind of things we had going on at the school to help all the kids. And she said, and I was talking about it and everybody was just really excited and didn't really know what was going on. And I said, well, it's kind of a thing that not a lot of people know about, but it affects a whole lot of people. I don't know why
You might just have to talk a little more.
I know. And I hadn't intended on it. PowerPoint is not responding. Well, I'm gonna talk about what the first two slides are anyway. Dyslexia is some people think that it's a problem with your eyes. You know, the kids see things different, but they don't. It's a cognitive issue. And it's something that we are now screening for in Summers County in kindergarten with some of the screening things, which is when it needs to be recognized. We didn't catch Emily that early. A lot of people didn't even know what dyslexia was. And we figured out what it was, and she had a supportive family that helped her out. But when we found out that it affected so many people, we both went into to talking to people about it. Emily's spoken in a lot of places, several times here at this board. Dyslexia is a language-based learning disability. Problems with reading, speaking, pronouncing words. If you've ever talked to Emily and she gets really excited about something, sometimes she'll stumble over her words a little bit. But she was always taught to be who you are, and it's not something that says that you're slow. Actually, most kids with dyslexia have a normal to above average intelligence. And what really kills them is school, because school is so structured and you have to do things so in school. Once you get out of school, these are some of the people you want on your team, people who think in this way. One big thing, and I've talked about this to Emily for a long time, is everybody's about being equal. Well, it's not about being equal. It's about equity. And those two words are very different. And the picture there, you know, you give everybody a box. Well, you got a kid in a wheelchair who can't get on the box. You got a little short person who, even on the box, you know, can't see what they need to see. But in the second part of the picture, you see equity, where everybody has the same opportunity to view whatever it is. And when we're talking about things, the tools that we use here in this county and the kids that have dyslexia and other, you know, reading disabilities use, it's all about giving them access to the text that everybody else has. It'd be like me giving you a French book and saying, okay, let's read and do the questions at the end of the section. Well, if you can't read that text, you know, you might act out. You might sit there and be really sad, get depressed about it. And this is what we have with 20% of the students have some part of dyslexia. So I'm going to show you a video of Emily she was a sophomore when she made this. This has been, a lot of people have viewed this over the times. And she'll tell you best what it all means with the tools.
My name is Emily Smith. I am a student at Summers County High School. I'm a sophomore, and I'm dyslexic. So I'm here to talk to you about how I use my technology. I found out I was dyslexic in second grade. We figured out that something had to change because I couldn't read like the rest of the kids. So that summer, my mom found this program called Barton Reading Program. It taught me how to read. So then we found Bookshare, which is where I put textbooks on there and read it to me, and books just for a hobby, and just regular books that he'd read to me. And it did a pretty good job. There was a robot voice, which I didn't really like at all. So we found something else called Learning LI, and it's really good too. It's, in my perspective, it's better. I do the same things: textbook, pleasure read, and regular books that have book reports and things like that. But the thing is with it is when you have short stories or something like that, it highlights the words and you can follow along easily like that. And it doesn't have a robot voice, which I really like because I think I can pay attention better without a robot voice. And I like it a whole lot better. And then I use this website. It's called Speech Notes. And I use it for like all my book reports, essays, anything that I really need to write, I use it. You just type that in your Google search bar and it comes up. There's a little microphone that you push that microphone right there, and then you just talk. And the thing is with it is that you say, my dog is black, comma, and fun, period. You have to say the comma and period. It was a little tricky when I first got onto it because I had this big long sentence that was about as big as a paragraph. So it took me a little while to get used to saying comma and period where it's needed, but it was really good to me. And then there was also this thing in read, write, which is a purple puzzle piece, and it's called Speech to Text. I don't really like it as much, but the good thing about it is that you use it the same way. But the good thing about it compared to the other one is it puts it right in the Word document for you. The other one you have to copy and paste into your Word document. I still like to use Speech Notes more because it's faster. It's faster, and I like that about it. And then you have another thing in the purple puzzle piece that is read to text. I think might be what it's called, text to speech, I think. And that is where you see our things in school. My teacher this year, we had a lot of short stories that we had to read, and they were PDFs. So she'd post it in a Google Classroom, and we'd have a PDF to read. And I didn't like that. So I use this purple puzzle piece, and I use text to speech like that. All you have to do is you highlight whatever you want, click, and then it reads it to you, all of it. So, and that's really nice about that. And that's about all I got right there. But I've made straight A's from 3rd grade all the way up to my sophomore year now, and I have succeeded in so many ways. And these are the things that helped me get how far I went and all my success. That's it.
Okay. No. Okay. All right. This is my parents' side. See. This county supplies Learning Ally and the purple puzzle pieces, she called it, for all students. It's something that's paid for, but it's something, UDL is a big thing, and what it does is it allows all kids to use these things. So if you would rather listen to something, you can. If you'd rather speak your stuff instead of typing it, or maybe you're not very good typist, then you can. And these were, Orbit Note is new, not new, but it does, she was talking about PDFs, it does PDFs a lot better. We've had made, and, the county provides this for all kids. One-time purchase, the Barton's reading program that she talked about, all of the elementary schools have a copy of it, a set of it. We've made a major change in the reading program of the county in the past couple of years, putting OG in there. Whereas where we taught before, 85% of students could learn to read. With OG, it's like 92% of students can read. So, why wouldn't you do that? And then reading pens are something else that was a one-time purchase. She talked about Bookshare and Speech Notes. Those are 2 free things. Bookshare, though, is not quite as lenient as Learning Ally. You have to have an IEP to use Bookshare. And with Learning Ally, you just have to have the teacher say that they have a reading deficit. And it's a human-read voice. That's what she was talking about, robot voice. These are human voices. So it makes a big difference. All right. Yesterday, Emily sent me a video. And so the quality is not really great, but the sound is really good. And this is how she feels about dyslexia now. It's different.
Okay, so my name is Emily Smith. Usually I'm at home back in West Virginia during October because it's Dyslexia Awareness Month in October, but instead I'm here in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, learning how to be a Army soldier. But I took some time out of the day to talk to you all about this because it's a serious thing. I mean, 20% of the population is dyslexic, and so I'm going to tell you a little about how my life goes. So, like, I went through school. I graduated last year, May 2023, with a above 4.0 average, and I graduated basic training back in August, and now I'm here learning to be a horizontal construction engineer. And when I was in school, dyslexia seemed more like a burden than something that would help me in the future. But as I had my technology that helped me along, that's what made me be so successful in my high school career, in my career in all school. But now, once I got into the real world and I saw that dyslexia is actually more of a ability than a disability, because in basic, there are these things called patrol bases, and you would have to build a patrol base so that nobody could get into your patrol base. And you think for like 5 seconds, you get like 5 seconds to think. And my dyslexic brain, my messed up brain, as my mom likes to call it, it helped me a lot during that. I made plans that worked, made plans fast that worked, because with what you have the time to do with, you don't have much time to think, but you have to have time to think out of the box. And because when you think out of the box, you're not going to be normal. And then that's going to throw people off. And that's what you want, because you don't want people to get into your base. So you got to think outside the box, and they're never going to think about what I think, because I got a messed up brain. So it really helps you out in the real world to be dyslexic rather than not be dyslexic, because you think creatively, you think out of the box, you think of things that most people wouldn't think of. So it actually helped me a lot in my military career already. It continues to help me in my military career. And but I mean, with the things that I've accomplished, I was squad leader for 3 weeks. Usually, you only have one for 1 to 2 weeks. I was squad leader for 3 weeks, and the reason I got that position was because of my outside the box thinking. I had really good plans when we did battle strategies, and when we did battle reenactments and stuff like that. I was elected the person in charge because I knew how to get around things fast, efficient, and how people wouldn't think to get around things. But I do want to say thank you to the people that provided the technology for Summers County, giving the money to help me get to where I am today in the Army. And so I just really hope that y'all keep on giving those resources to the kids in Summers County, to the students in Summers County, because it helped me out a lot. And look at me now, I'm a soldier in the United States Army, and I'm thankful that y'all paid for this. I hope that you continue to pay for those so that 20% of the population can be on the same playing field. Thank you for your time. See you soon.
We always have, a lot of times things are looked at
Okay.
as a disability, and I never called it a disability because she was capable of doing anything. And she's helped a lot of kids, a lot of teachers that had her. It opened up everybody's eyes to what this was, and that it affected so many people. And
So,
there we go. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the support that you've given that, for my personal daughter, who is, I always knew would be successful because that was her mindset. But I have kids in the school system come up to me all the time. Teachers send them my way to help them to learn how to use their tools. And it makes a big difference when you're not able to read the information like everybody else and you just can't do it. And to have something that gives you confidence in yourself and lets you know that you're not dumb because you can't read. Somebody just didn't teach you the right way, and it's no big deal. There's things that'll help you throughout all your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you find that Emily just seems to take that so much in stride and so lightly? Is that typical?
No, it's not.
I mean, that messed up brain thing, she just,
Well, I've always called it that. I'm boxes and lines. I'm not an outside the box thinker. I'm not creative, and I totally own that. But I wanted her to totally own that she was different. And I mean, there's 20% of people she was profoundly dyslexic. When we had her into a psychologist, they said she was profoundly dyslexic, and that Nathan and I, when we saw that she couldn't read, something had to change, because you can't give your kid all the things that they deserve if they can't read. And so it was a number one thing for us. But Emily had 3 school teachers. Me and Nathan and Mom all were school teachers. She had 100% support all the time to give her the confidence she needed. And then she had an inner perseverance that I think all kids have, but it gets beat out of them, And so, she's taught the elementary schools. We went a lot of places when she was, in high school especially, and she could speak well enough about it. But it's, she educated the people of this county, the teachers that she went through, and, some of them changed the way they did things because they saw that it wasn't just Emily that they were helping. It was a large percent of their population that, we've got a lot of kids that just can't read. And if you can give them access to what everybody else has access to, then, they're not behind. They can catch up. It takes her longer to do things. Reading is a real struggle. You can't have accommodations on some things. Like, she took her journeyman's test. She didn't, and passed it. She didn't have accommodations on that. It took her a long time of study, like 5 months. She studied for 6 months for the ASVAB to be able to pass it, because you can't have accommodations and it's timed. And so, but she did, and other people can too, but she had a steroid support system that not all kids have. You have some champions in the school, in middle school, high school down there that are, working their hardest, teaching them the way to do things. I'm going into an 8th grade class all day long next Monday and going through some of the tools again, just to remind them. Kara Jones in 6th grade, in all of her classes, they use the tools. Everybody uses the tools, so then there's no stigma. That's where the problem is. Kids don't want to use it because it makes them different, and kids don't want to be different at that age. But she's talked to lots of kids when she's been in high school down there to say, if you'll just use it, look what you can do. She made A's in English classes, which should be the hardest things, college level classes, but she would have never done it without the tools. And it was the tools that are provided here. And that's, every time I go somewhere and they ask, they want to know what we're doing down there, because they've seen Emily at some point. And I said, well, we have this and this and this. And they say, wow, if we could just get some of that going. And at the workshop I was at last week, I said, you need a person. You need that one person. Because in that workshop I was at, Emily's video was in it. And I said, that was our person, who talked to the board, who said, Robert Angel sat right there, and he said, what can we do to make things better for you? And she said, Learning Ally. If everybody had Learning Ally, that would be the thing. And all of a sudden, we had Learning Ally. And the teachers use it a lot. I don't know how much they use it in the middle school, or in the elementary, but it's used a good bit. And, you need a person who is experienced it. I've not. And she's never experienced anything but that. You have to keep that in mind too. She doesn't know what it's like to be able to pick up a book and just read it like nobody's business. But it's a support system is what she had that made her so much. And personality is part of it. She is who she is, and she don't care who cares. And she's been like that through her entire life. I mean, she was never concerned about anybody else.
Well, I'll tell you, Ms. Smith, I had the privilege of listening to her speak before the board and to watch that video now. It's amazing the progress she's made, and we're proud of her.
Absolutely proud of her.
But, she's 1 in 5. Just remember, 1 in 5.
All right. Thank you. Public comments. Have none. Approval of minutes. Superintendent recommends approval of the following minutes: September 26th, 2023 regular meeting and the October 5th, 2023 special meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the September 26th regular meeting and the October 5th special meeting minutes.
I'll second. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Harvey and a second by myself that we approve the minutes from these two, the regular meeting, September 26, 23, and the October 5th special meeting, 2023. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstaining?
Aye.
Let the record reflect by a 3-0 vote with Mr. Brogan abstaining that the motion carries. All right, approval of bills.
Make a motion that we pay the bills.
No second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Harvey and a second by Mr. Brogan. Pay the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote, the motion carries. Moving on to new business. Approved purchases over $25,000. Do you have none? All right. Discussion and possible action to approve 2023, 2024 free lunch agreements.
There's an attached list for you from Dr. Knott's office. Those who qualify, doesn't mean those people take a free lunch, it's just they qualify for it. Anything else, Dr. Knott, other than that?
For the most part, they give up their 30-minute duty-free lunch on a regular basis.
Well, that's much appreciated, and it's pretty cheap, in my opinion. We do need to bring that up in the future again. But I'll make a motion that we approve free lunch agreements.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Bergen and a second by Ms. Harvey to approve these free lunch agreements. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote, the motion carries. Discussion, possible action to approve Summers County Comprehensive High School PE credit waiver.
You guys have the paperwork in front of you. Basically, the process started a few years ago, not the waiver, but the policy changed at the state level on credits. I think some of you were present when it went from 24 down to 22, and then there's also credits that have to be coded a certain way. Our county coded, nobody's fault in this room, nobody needs to be blamed, but in the past it was coded. Our dance class was coded as a PE credit. We've had a student leave our county, go to another county, and they caught the code saying that that is not a PE credit, that qualifies as a fine art credit. Having said that, the process is to bring it up to the faculty senate, they discuss this, they move forward to give it to you all, to then get you to approve it, and then it goes to the state to see if they would approve this waiver to say this student and any other student that leaves here going to another county shouldn't be held hostage, if you will, but it should be more of a held harmless clause, if you will, to say they deserve that PE credit, not hold them in a position where it's not the student's fault. And we're not saying it's the adult's fault. What we're saying is there's an issue with a coding error, and so we're trying to correct that the best we possibly can. Mr. Kuhn, am I missing anything else from that?
No, so that was something that was pointed out to us as part of the CSI on site. They never came back and said anything after that. It came up when the student transferred. This is the state process to get the waiver before the state it goes to the LSIC. And Dr. Green, the LSIC approved that a couple weeks ago. And then it comes before the county board, and if you all approve, we send it on to the State Department.
So is this for all the high school? Is this for just certain classes or?
The issue has been corrected now. Anybody that would be there right now, that this would affect, the PE wouldn't be in their schedule, that could cover them if need be. Dr. Green, you can add on there as well.
So this waiver that's before you covers the current graduating class this year and the next two. So from our 10th grade to our 12th grade. We took steps at the beginning of the year to remedy this problem, working with Josh Grant's office, who's over PE, to provide the students the required integrated PE course module. So we have corrected that for this year's 9th graders going forward. All we're doing with this is asking the West Virginia Board of Education to allow the students in the next 3 graduation cohorts to allow the dance class or weight training class to be an approved PE credit.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve the SCCHS PE credit waiver.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Harvey and a second by Mr. Brogan to approve this credit waiver, PE credit waiver. Is there any discussion, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the record reflect by 4-0 vote, the motion carries. Discussion and possible action to approve out-of-state overnight employee trip. Ms. Holt and Mr. Wood, National Council of Teachers of English Conference in Columbus, Ohio, November the 16th through the 19th, 2023.
I make a motion that we approve the out-of-state overnight employee trip.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Farley and second by Mr. Brogan to approve this overnight trip. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the record reflect by 4-0 vote, the motion carries. Now, moving on to personnel. Do we have a name for this multi-categorical special education teacher for Summers County Comprehensive? No, so that'll just be moved to the next meeting?
If we can fill them.
Yeah, I understand.
Do that extra duty first, since you landed.
Aye.
Remember how we pulled out the extra duty?
Yeah.
You can vote on that since she walked out.
Okay.
So what, it says funding sources grant funded, what grant is this from? Or coming from?
The 21st century grant, that's for the 21st century.
Which one are we on?
Service extra.
Oh,
The bus
yeah,
operator.
that's the after school, yeah.
Ready for nominations, sir?
Huh?
You ready for a nomination?
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we hire the employment service extra duty employees listed.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Bergen and a second by Ms. Harvey that we approve this service extra duty list for employment. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? By a 3-0 vote, let the record show that the motion carries with Ms. Farley recusing herself. Okay. Now moving on to the rest of personnel. Employment of professional, extracurricular, extra duty, Benjamin Farley. Assistant middle school girls basketball coach, Josiah Cox. Bus operator, bus 156. Employment mentor teachers, Kathy Duffield, Jack Jones, building maintenance teacher, Summers County Comprehensive High School. Employment substitute service, Christina Farley, aide, Melanie Bloom, Sarah Kells, Melissa Mullins, all of them aides.
Make a motion that we accept the recommendations for personnel.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Harvey and a second by Mr. Brogan to approve these hires, the recommendations for personnel. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstaining, let the record reflect by 4-0 vote. The motion carries. Okay, moving on to the superintendent's report.
You guys take one and pass it down. It should be every other, so. Should be getting 3 copies. The first copy is really good news about our CTE indicator points that we received from the State Department. If you look at the bottom, it says total district target is 75 points. There should be one staple that's considered your third one. So the first page that you have is all about CTE. Did they get mixed in?
Yeah.
Our school district received 89 points, and like I said, the State Department says 75 is what you need to obtain to meet its requirements. So we did meet the requirement, and we've gone a little bit extra. There's always room to grow, but our CTE programs, pound per pound, in the state of West Virginia, we're doing really well. But we can always make more improvements as we move forward, and that's something that is not an easy target to do, considering CTE. You're asking people most times to come in and teach, and they're not from the teaching world. If you take someone who is a construction or a masonry, carpentry, someone who's a nurse, and to say, come on in and teach a class, and oh, by the way, we don't pay as well as what you can make out there on your own. that says a lot for our teaching staff and the people who work for us. So this is a good indicator for us to go off of. That's a good thing. The next paperwork that you have is a color-coded paperwork from last school year to this school year. And that is a balanced scorecard by county level. I can't discuss this, so you have it in front of you, because tomorrow, this data is embargoed until tomorrow at the state board meeting. So at this point in time, this is for you all to look at. The one that we needs assistance in red, there is a stapled sheet to it that shows you what we're going to meet the requirements for this next academic school year. And so, not to go into any discussion, since this is embargoed data, I wanted the board to see this for your own personal look, and then at the next board meeting, we can discuss this more. But right now, this is considered embargoed data, and this is not going to be discussed or released until tomorrow at the state board meeting, which is tomorrow the 11th. Okay, tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Yes, the 11th. So this information will be disclosed to the whole entire state at the state board meeting, but the stapled paperwork to it is basically saying this is what we're doing to rectify that one category. So if you look at all the categories there, you can see the meets, and then the one that needs assistance, you can see that. Okay. And then the last thing I need to discuss with you is one that's a hard pill to swallow. We had a special meeting yesterday with Kevin Radford, the owner of Radford and Radford. We had a meeting with Pickerington. They have come on board to be a third party to talk about the walls that we've discussed in the past about being off. I have no good news at this point in time, other than to tell you that the information I received from Pickerington is they're going to put this in writing for all of us. But they're meeting tomorrow with McKinley 8 in the morning to discuss a corrective action plan. The wall that Pickerington shot was every single wall, every point. And the wall that is off right now is the one that would be considered the west wall. So you know there's the east wall that's closest to the railroad tracks. The west wall, this is on the gymnasium, is off. So everything that's gone off that wall is now off. So what does that mean? Talking to Heath today from McKinley, he said that until we get more data from Pickerington, because they're trying to put paper to pencil to see what they can do to rectify it, one of the suggestions, not a suggestion, let me go back for a minute. One of the things that McKinley will do is they will write a letter saying to Radford and Radford, you didn't meet compliance. Basically, you did something extremely wrong. And SBA is aware of this. I've talked to Mark Miller. I've talked to numerous people about this today. And Chad, make sure if I'm missing anything to throw in your 2 cents. But what McKinley is saying that they need to do from their Wheeling, they talked to their Wheeling project manager who has years of experience with this type of stuff, because we're not the first or the last that's ever going to experience this. But he said that he would recommend at this point in time for us to get a third party to come in and supervise all masonry work and be the superintendent of Radford and Radford until all masonry work is done. Because once you get the masonry done, it's all inside work. I mean, all those points are now going off of those walls anyway. So at this point in time, I can't give you more information other than that unless, am I missing anything, Mr. Metter?
No, sir.
It seems like a lot of data that came to me today with all the information that's been thrown at us, because the other meeting we had today was with the water company, and we have found a place to tap in to a new cutoff valve that won't affect Bass Lake when we ever have a water problem, that they won't be affected too. And then we will also have enough water to drink from and flush the commodes and cook and all that. That's going to be the 2-inch line. We'll have a 6-inch line running parallel to that for all the fire suppression system. So those are the two lines that will be coming in on Thursday. The problem we have is we have concrete ready to come to pour the slab on the 6th grade classrooms next Thursday, but that all might be a stop. So the letter that they're getting McKinley to Radford and Radford is they want them to stop all masonry work tomorrow. Now, if you see people out there doing masonry work, that doesn't mean they're not doing what they've been told. You have to understand they have to have this meeting at 8 o'clock with these engineers and all these people to say, this is what they need to do next. You can't tell someone no and not have a plan. So that's the problem is with all this information that they shot on Monday, they found out that wall. I've never heard about that wall at all. The only walls I've been hearing of is the walls I've told you all about. And when Heath called me today, he goes, you got a minute? I need to talk to you. I said, this isn't good news. He goes, no, and it's a different wall. And then when he told me that wall was the one that was off, that now throws off quite a
They
bit.
might have to start over on the gym, right?
I'm not worried.
They're
The
full-
gym will be easy. I'm worried about all that 6th grade and the administrative offices. Those walls are up and they're ready to pour a slab. So the concern I have is all that work that has been put in, that's going to knock us back at least 2 to 3 months because you have to tear everything out unless they can bring a whole bunch of people that I haven't seen before.
You already
to get
have
this
roof trusses, correct?
Those roof trusses have been there since week 1
Yes.
of last year. This time
Yeah.
last year, they came in. Right after the groundbreaking ceremony, that was one of the first things that came in.
How off is it?
How off?
You don't know?
I can tell you right now, it's off enough that one end would match and the other end would not hit a wall. That's what I know. Whether that means the wall's too far in or too far out, either way, that other truss is not coming down.
If it's not exact, it's not gonna fit.
It has to be exact. It's kind of like a bridge when you start on one end or a tunnel. They have to drive up perfectly. So I'm just telling you this because this information has been given to me in the last 24 hours and it just keeps coming all day today. And I just thought this can't get any worse. And then when you finally hear, well, who pays for this? Who pays for this extra company to come in and run Radford and Radford basically? And the question has not been answered other than I will have to find out more information. There is contingency money that SBA provides, but the contingency money that we have is $200,000 to $300,000. That sounds like a lot,
No, not when you.
but it's not when you're talking with a $12 million project.
It's not gonna do much if you have to tear it all down.
Well, no, that'll be on Radford. They pay for that. What I'm talking about is someone else to come in, kind of like Ms. Smith said today. You're bringing in more stuff to support something that's not working.
Yeah,
I don't know how to put it.
But why should we have to pay for a hand holder?
I'm not disagreeing with your thought process. I'm saying that what I've been told at this point in time is from SBA is that's why we put in contingency money. The next question becomes, I will have to check with Bowles and Rice, with Mark D'Antoni, who is all about that. We might have to look at legal, but I can't give you any more information and I don't want to go into hypotheticals because
Right.
I don't know until they have their meeting tomorrow. And then what, because if that wall is off, let's say it is like Pinkerton's saying, can they adjust it some other way that I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an architect. All I know is that material is sitting on our property. It's been paid for and it has to be used the way it's supposed to. And it's all about structural because 50 to 100 years from now, when everybody's gone and dead, that building should be able to stand. And that's what I'm concerned about right now.
Absolutely.
More low bid nightmares.
Yeah, I think I've said that to Mr. Metter a couple times today.
Well,
That's the sad part of the low bid process.
yeah, well, in our case, it was almost no bid.
That too, Mr. McBride. But if you guys have any more questions, I can try to answer them, or I'm not going to deflect to Chad because
Well, I
he's
think we
facilities,
just-
but I don't know anything else to add, Chad. Am I forgetting anything else? Because I don't know what else to give them.
I think we just have to just wait, I mean, for that meeting.
So is that 8-inch or 12-inch block?
It depends on which wall you're talking about,
The one that's
Yeah.
off.
both.
So I'm trying to
Starts out
determine, is
12.
it off 8 inches at least, or is it off 12 inches at least?
It used to be off 12, now it's off
Oh.
4 or 6, depending on which point you go from, Mr. Brogan. I'm not trying to be evasive, I'm just, if you don't get the right point, you don't get the
12
right measurement when you run it at 100 feet that way or 50 feet that way. It's growing on us. And it's not growing in the right way. So if you take like the 6th grade wing, I'll give you an example. The corner of the 6th grade classroom that has a wall on it, if you take that down on the outside and you run it down to where there's a steel beam coming out where everybody will enter someday, that steel beam coming out and that wall might not be matching. So when you look at that, that means that would all have to be ripped out. If that one wall that I'm talking about that's new today that I found out is off, the west wall, not the east one, because remember I told you the east one and the north one were off. I had no idea about this west one until today. And it's like, that's why he said, you got a minute, because this is not good news. And I'm thinking, how did that get to that point? He said Pickerton reshot everything.
I was getting ready to ask you how they
They
figured that out.
reshot it, they did the whole thing again, and then that was a third party that Radford's paying for. So what I'm suggesting to you all is, I'm listening to McKinley because they're a firm protecting us. They're writing that report up saying you're not in compliance, basically, and it will have some teeth to it because it'll say you wronged the county. Now you have to try to fix it, but the question becomes is that third party that they're throwing out there, from the guy from the project manager from Wheeling, saying you might want to get another party in there because it'll keep everybody, I hate to use the word honest. I hate to say it that way.
This could end up being a screwed up footer situation again.
That is true. That is true.
So what's the clerk of the works role in all this?
The clerk of the works gives us reports on what they're doing. And he has done his due diligence with all the work that he's doing. I gave him the report today from he goes, that makes more sense now why they've been doing what they've been doing, which it doesn't seem like they've been doing what they should have been doing in the first place, finding the problem where that point was. Because he's only going off of what they're telling him on the points. He can't go out and do all their measurements for him. That's not his job. His job is to make sure people come and they do the work they said they're going to do. And that's what he does.
And so you just said that, did I hear correctly, in that he had some, this now makes sense as to what they were doing because before it didn't make sense?
Well, what he's saying is there seems to be some stuff that's going on that they have been tight-lipped about that he's noticing, and they haven't been upfront when he's asked certain questions. That leads him to say something isn't on the up and up. So we have these meetings every other Tuesday, and Chad can correct me if I'm wrong, and so can Cassandra, but it seems to me like there's been some verbiage used that didn't seem like it was adding up. I'll give you an example. A month ago, Joe Cuban said to us that all the points are good now. Well, how do I know if all the points are good other than he told us they're good? They're the ones who, I can't tell you if the points are good or not. It's not my business. And a clerk of work can say, well, they shot it. I saw them shoot it. They did their work. They measured, they poured, everything's moving. He has to go by their word too. But then what McKinley does is with their firm is they look and double check everything. And when things don't add up, then they start saying, guys, this isn't right. That's when the third party came in for Pickerton to shoot everything. And then now we're getting into nobody shot this over here, that wall that I'm talking about. So it becomes a gobbledygook of, I don't know who's telling me the truth, Miss Harvey.
Can I add one thing to kind of clarify for you?
Yes, ma'am.
So the clerk of the works is how we kind of found out the first 2 walls were off because he asked questions about those walls. Now the third wall is being brought up. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
He's the reason why we knew about the first 2 problems and now it's bringing up further problems.
Well, he also brought up too about remember how we were talking about the PSI on the concrete?
Right.
He also noticed that the concrete was not getting delivered in that window when concrete should be on a site because of it setting up in the truck versus setting up on site, if that makes sense.
So how can we help him get ahead of those?
Get ahead of what?
Screw up.
When he's got those gut feelings and the information's not lining up, and he's bringing it, I'm assuming he's bringing it to you guys ahead of time.
Well, he brings it to McKinley and Radford. He gives us the reports of his conversations with those people. That's all he can do. He technically, nobody can make anybody do anything because at the end of the day, here's the problem we get into as the owner, us in this room. If I tell someone to do something and they do it, then if we go to court, they're going to say the owner told me to do it that way, and it's not the way it should have been done. See how that gets real quick? So it's better for me to sit back and listen, because if I tell anybody to do something, then if we ever have to go to court for something, their attorneys will say, Mr. Warble, what's your background in architect and design and structure? Why did you tell these guys to do that? And then Radford and go, I was trying to make the owner happy because he said he wanted it this way. See, I got to watch what I say in these meetings. So that's why we have the clerk of works and McKinley talking for us, because as an owner, none of us in this room have that background, because I'm telling you, when you get attorneys involved, they're going to grill all of us to say, well, he's saying you guys said this at these meetings, and I'm not there to do that.
And that's not what I'm trying to convey. I'm trying to, if he's picking up that something's not right, how can we help escalate what he's concerned about before work gets so far along?
I think by bringing in this other firm.
Well, that's what we did. We brought this other firm in because he brought them in as quickly. I know it was a month ago, but I can't go tell those Mason, because the thing that I was getting concerned about was these guys keep laying block, and this is now the third time this block is going to get ripped up.
Yeah.
And I can't tell those guys to quit laying block that come in that were told by their owner, you need to lay block. I have the materials, I'm paying you, lay block. That's all I can tell you, but he brought this up, and it's taken probably a month and a half to get to where we are now. And I don't know what else to do other than follow the lead there. And like I said, today I had no idea we had a west wall now out of sorts. And that one is the one I'm most concerned about, because that's the one closest to the building at hand right now as they came around the corner. There's going to be more questions than answers right now.
Just do your best that we don't have to pay for the hand holder. That's what they called it.
The babysitter.
Well,
Even if we do,
I mean, their incompetence shouldn't cost us, is what I'm trying to get at.
I don't disagree, but even if we do have to pay something for it, that probably will help us in the long run.
Yeah.
to protect our interests, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
I'm
Well-
not saying we should. I agree that somebody else should pay for that, but if we do end up paying something for it, it might be better in the long run.
Well, because already SBA is basically letting me know without saying it, and I don't disagree with them. We put that in there. That's why it's called contingency. You just don't know what you're getting into. And they do.
We haven't eaten up any of that yet.
Very little.
Very well, we have with some change orders, because some stuff has come that nobody knew that was going to happen. I mean, there are some things that have had to change. But there are some change orders, not change orders. There are some things we got credited that we didn't have to pay for. I'll give you a quick example off the top of my head. One, we've been making a running total, trust me. One of them was a grease trap. We didn't have to put a grease trap in because with code and the way we have our ProStart program, they're not making anything that goes into a grease trap like we do with the cooks for a school system. That grease trap has never really been used anyway. So it was like, what's the point? Do we have to put one in? And working with the health department and all the people, they're like, you're good because you're not even using it anyway. So they just took it out because they were going to put in a new system. But once we found out, that probably saved us $10,000 to $20,000. But that's $10,000 or $20,000. That's to the good. But then you can eat it up on other items that come up that we didn't know that we might have to deal with. Well, like the piping, that we had to put in for this fire line. Didn't know we were gonna put in 6-inch pipe. That wasn't me. That's the people who called for that kind of stuff because that's what the fire marshal code is, so.
All right.
Oh, let me start with, give good news though. Good news is, we had our golf team, state runners up, and they'll be honored at the next board meeting. We were gonna have them come tonight, but I guess these kids have other things to do.
Imagine that.
And then the other one is our band this week. Proud of Mr. Sims and our band. They went to Greenbrier, or East, and did a competition, and we got in the middle. We weren't the first, we weren't the last, we were somewhere in the middle. So that's a good thing for our kids to go and compete. And then our kids also got to see other students perform at their levels. And it's a nice camaraderie for our kids to get out and to see other kids and to see other band programs. And then Randall Reed Smith, who is an interesting fella, he calls me up on Saturday and says, "Mr. Superintendent Warble, where are you?" And I said, "I'm in my house recovering from being sick." He goes, "Oh, okay, I'll let you go. Your kids are doing a wonderful job. They are sweet. They are good kids. And Mr. Sims, he's an awesome instructor." That's a great call to receive because I don't get those calls all the time, guys. And I know you don't as board members, but it was really cool. And I know Miss Holt's in the audience, and I know she's a proud mom and a band parent. But our kids, golf team and the band, need to be commended for representing our county so well. So I know I gave you some bad, but we do have some really good stuff and some good kids. So I think you guys need to know that.
Yeah, and that band has come a long way in a short period of
All
time.
those kids have done a great job, and Mr. Sims has done a
He's
great.
done a great job.
I'm a
Randall
former
Reed's
band
always,
mom,
he's
turned
always had
through.
a soft spot for our county, it seems.
Who, Randall?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's all I have there, Mr. Vice President.
All right.
Sorry for such negative news tonight, but you
Well,
guys need to know what's
We
going on.
have to find out, and we need to know. Okay, discussion of next agenda, October 24th, 2023, at 5 PM here at the central office.
I got nothing.
Nothing?
I think you'll have your points of privilege, and we'll honor the golf team.
All right. All right, that's it. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
6:02.
6:02 is the time.